Howdy folks, Mike Anthony here, designer of Mythic Journey card game, two-player competitive card game set in the Greek mythological age. This was my first version that I play tested by myself, made changes. Then my parents played this version with my wife watching, and after that playtest I made more changes. This is the current third version, which I'll be using for the demonstration playthrough here. First, I want to quickly review the rules, try to keep it short. So let me flip over, and here we have, so as I said, it's a two-player competitive card game set in Greek mythological era. The players are playing Greek heroes or heroines. In this basic version of the game, you're attempting to complete a journey of 300 leagues. 300 leagues is approximately 1,000 miles. The first person to complete that journey wins the game. In advanced versions, there'll be quests and specific heroes or heroines that you can play that have special abilities. But in this basic version, you're just trying to complete a quest of 300 leagues using a shared card deck of 52 cards. Now, what kind of cards are in this deck? There are four basic types. There are progress cards in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 denomination that the player plays in front of them to score progress on their journey. The 30 and 40 denominations are safe. Once those are played, they can never be lost. The 10 or 20 denominations potentially can be stolen by the opponent, and the 50 denomination progress cards can be lost. The opponent can potentially make you discard them. That was one type. The second type are hazard cards. These are characters, monsters from classical Greek mythology, and one of them's a storm sent by Poseidon. Poseidon doesn't like these heroes, and he's trying to thwart them. So there's 8 different kinds of hazards. There's also a minor hindering wind that can slow down the opponent. There are the third type are aid cards that allows the person to remove a hazard that is played against them. There are 8 different kinds of aid against the 8 different hazards. However, each kind of aid can work against 2 different hazards. So it's easier to undo hazards than the 8. There's 16 combinations there, and I'm going to quickly explain what they are. So the 8 hazards are a Cyclops, Hydra, Skeleton, Medusa, Siren, the Storm from Poseidon, a Minotaur, and a Colossus. Now, the Skeleton and the Colossus, you've probably not heard of those in normal Greek mythology. Those are from Jason and the Argonauts, the movie with the Harryhausen stop-motion animation. We have included them because we are being inclusive of Jason and the Argonauts, Labors of Hercules, the Journey, the Odyssey, Ulysses, etc. in our Greek mythological game. Now, what are aid cards? The aid cards, there's 8 of them, and each one can undo 2 variety of hazards. So wax, it can undo the siren by waxing the ears, or make wings to fly around Poseidon's storm. The original myth of the wax wings and Icarus is a different myth, but it's not part of our story, but we are including that idea of wax wings. A lyre, or lyre, a Greek harp, L-Y-R-E, it can be used to thwart the siren song or to charm the snakes on the head of Medusa. A metal shield polished, can reflect the gaze of the Medusa, or it can bash skeletons. Skeletons being mostly bone, poking them doesn't do much, but bashing them or cutting them. So a sword can chop skeletons. A sword can also chop the head of the Hydra. However, fire, those that know that a Hydra's heads regenerate, fire can cauterize those heads so they don't continue to regenerate. It also can blind the one-eyed Cyclops. A spear can poke the eyes of the Cyclops. The spear can also be used to defeat the Colossus. How is that? Well, the Colossus is a giant bronze statue. On the back of its heel, it has a valve with 2 prongs. The hero, Jason the Argonaut, used the spear to unwind this valve and drain the magic fluid from the Colossus. A rope can be used to trip the Colossus. Bigger they are, the harder they fall. Rope can also lead you to the center of the Minotaur's maze. The Minotaur is a bull-headed man. A rope, excuse me, that was the rope. The map can also lead you into and out of the Minotaur's maze, and it also can circumvent Poseidon's storm. So we had 8 hazards. We have 8 aids that can apply to 2 of each of the various hazards. We had the progress cards. The 4th type of card in the game are card manipulation cards. These are cards that can allow you to draw a card from the enemy's hand, draw a card from the discard pile, select a card from anywhere in the discard pile, and potentially manipulate some cards in play. That is, you can use some of them to steal a 10 or 20 progress from the enemy or make the enemy discard. As we mentioned, the 5 denomination progress cards, only the 30s and 40s are safe. Once you play them, can't be affected, but the 10s and 20s could be stolen. The 50s could be discarded. So we have covered almost all the different combinations of effects on the cards. Every card has 2 uses, and there's an or an and relationship. So some cards have a certain progress, or you may do something else, and some are and. So one of the last effects is that we haven't mentioned is reshuffle. If this card is played, you take the discard pile, shuffle it in, and creating a new, fresh draw deck. Normally, you would reshuffle once the draw deck is drawn all the way through. That will rarely happen in this game. Now, one thing to note in this game is when cards go into the discard pile, when you play a card, you do not immediately discard it. You put it in front of you. You resolve the card to its full effect, which includes if you steal a card or draw a card or select a card, you may then play that immediately. When you are done with your turn, when you can't do anything more, and you're done playing and discarding, that is when you put the cards that you've originally played on top of the discard pile. You don't put them in the discard pile right away. That is important to make sure you don't have a potential endless loop where you steal a card from someone that lets you draw a card for the discard, that you draw the card to steal, and you steal again, and something like that happens. Okay, so that is basically the rules. We've covered most of them. There's one card with an effect called ketchup. Now, not ketchup, the tomato-based condiment, but catch up. That's a come from behind thing. We will cover that as we go through the playthrough, how that works. So I'm going to stop this now, start a new demonstration playthrough. We're just at 7.5 minutes. And so that should give us enough time to do a playthrough if we can be quick enough about it. So see you soon. So here we are using the current 3rd version, latest, greatest of Mythic Journey, 2-player competitive card game designed by Mike Anthony, set in the mythological Greek era here. We're assuming I've got this well shuffled from last time. The way you set up a game of Mythic Journey is you deal out 5 cards to each player. There's 3, 4, 5. And then you take 1 card, you put it face up to seed the discard pile, and you place the rest of the cards next to it. There's your draw pile. There's your discard pile. Here is one player's hand, and here's the other player's hand. Now, I didn't mention it in the quick rules review, but what you do at the start of your turn is you always draw up to 6 cards. And normally you're going to start with 5 cards in your hand. Sometimes you'll have less. Okay, you always draw up to the point where you'll have 6 cards. So this player has 5 cards. He will draw 1, and then he has to play. And if he can't play, he has to discard to end his turn. You always go down to 5. You go up to 6, you go down to 5. Okay? So, again, you can play progress cards. Now, if there's a hazard card in play against you, you cannot play any progress cards. There's a hindering winds, which is not a complete hazard, but it's a slowing. That means if you have a hindering winds on it, you can only play 10 or 20 denomination of the progress cards. All right. So now this is that catch-up mechanism. We'll explain that once we play it. We're not going to start with that. We are going to start with a 30. Now this is an or. So every card has 2 uses. Most of them have progress and something else. Some don't have any progress, but this is a 30 or. No. So I'm going to start by playing 30 progress, not using this effect. I am down now to 5 or less cards. I can end my turn, and it goes to the next player. So they're at 5 cards. They draw 1. All right. They are now here. Okay, they are behind, but not that far. They don't have a hazard card to play on the enemy. They're not having a hazard, so they can play any card. They're going to play a 30. Now theirs said this was a hazard. This is or a hindering wind. They're going to play that. Call that good. All right. So right now both sides are tied. Oops. All right. So no one has a hazard on them. So there's no need for aid cards. We're going to go ahead and play this big 50. We're going to take the lead bigger here. Okay, 50. And that says 50 and. So what this means is if this guy had a hazard on him, he could use this card to remove this hazard and still play the 50 progress. Okay, that's kind of a special card. Now, remember I said 30s and 40 progress cards are safe. They can never be lost. 10s and 20s could be stolen. 50s could be caused to be discarded. So even this is a powerful card, you could lose your whole 50. So we have played a card. It's this guy's turn. He has this. Always try to remember to see how many you need to draw. All right. So he is behind. We are going to show you how this catch-up mechanism. We're behind. We're going to play a 20. Now, I generally try to go left to right. Now, normally you're playing here. This guy would be playing him this way. When you play a hazard on the person, you put it sideways or the hindering wind. But things that you put into play, the progress you put vertically versus horizontally. Okay, so he has played this. He has 50. This guy has 80. He is behind. The catch-up, not ketchup, not the tomato condiment, but the mechanism called catch-up. It's in the rules. I didn't mention because I was going to save it for this because it needs a little explanation. If you play a catch-up and you are behind the enemy, you may play an additional progress card. Okay? So they're behind. We can play a 10, 20, 40. That's what we have in our hand. We're at 50 now. They're at 80. Okay. Now I'm going to do this. I'm going to play another 20. All right. We are at 70. They're at 80. We are behind still. And since we played another catch-up, this allows us to play another progress card. This is a time where you can play more than one card in your turn. You know, playing catch-up, playing a progress card. Oh, I did it again. I'm now still behind. So now I'm going to play this 40. And it's a 40 or. I can play the 40 or select a card from the discard pile. I'm getting the 40. I'm up to 110 versus 80. I stop. My turn is over. I'm down to 3 cards, but that's good. We have gone boom, boom, boom. 110 cards. It's now this guy's turn. He has 5 cards in his hand. He gets to draw 1. All right. So he doesn't like that this guy got so far ahead. He's got this. So instead of playing it on his side, he could play that to try to go. He's going to put a hazard on this guy. He says, I don't like you getting so overhead. So you put it sideways, saying hazard, storms. There's a storm blocking this guy. He played his turn. He is done. It is now this guy's turn. Now, before we draw, we have only 3 cards on it. We're going to draw 6 cards. You always go up to 6 because he had played 2 catch-ups and this guy. So he had got a lot of cards in, but now he's up to 6 and it's his turn to play. Now, he has a hazard on him. He cannot play progress cards because of this hazard. So we've got to see what he can play. Now he's got some things that can remove hindering winds. No one has hindering winds on him. So he can't play this for that, nor can he play it for the remove. He has an aid. He has an aid that affects, it's a sword card that affects Hydra and skeletons. This is storms. That's aid is not effective here. Aid fire. That doesn't affect a storm. He can steal a 10 or 20 in play. Well, this guy doesn't have a 10 or 20. That doesn't help. Okay, so what is he going to do? He's going to say, well, you put a hazard on me. Well, I'm going to put a hazard back. He has nothing to do. He can't play anything. He can't get rid of this. He doesn't have any... Well, he does have this manipulation card here, draw 1 card from the discard, but he couldn't play the 40, and reshuffling that doesn't help him. He's going to play this. He's going to, okay, well, take that. You now have a Colossus in your way. So he has played his card. He is done. It's back to this guy. All right. So tit for tat. Take that cards. They've played progress. They've played some take that. So back and forth. Strong Greek heroes and heroines are doing battle in the course for progress. All right. So we've got about 5 more minutes here of, we have a time limit. We're trying to fit that in as best as can. We might go long on this playthrough because that can always be stopped any time, so we can do stuff. But okay, so this guy cannot play a hazard. Now you can only, each person can only have one hazard on them. You can have a hindering wind and a hazard. So he currently doesn't have a hazard, so he can't play one. He doesn't have a hindering wind. Okay, the hazard on him is Colossus, a spear or rope. He actually has the spear. So this is what he's going to play. It's play hindering winds on enemy or play the spear. He's going to play this. Now, when you play a card that's going to not leave something in play, he's playing this, he's going to remove this. You don't immediately discard this card. You show your intent, say, I'm going to remove this. This gets removed. This goes in the discard pile. And now this goes on the top. This is important because there are cards that allow you to draw from the discard pile. That draw is from the top. There's some cards that allow you to select from the discard pile. That's anyone in there, but you got to pay attention to this order. So you play a card that's a statement of intent, you resolve it, and then when you're done with your turn, you put those cards into the discard pile. So he is now done. He has removed successfully the hazard against him. Now this guy still has a hazard. He's got 5 cards. So he first draws one. You always draw one to go up to 6. And bummer, I still cannot play a hazard card. What can I do? Now, he needs something that affects storms, the map or the wax. He doesn't have that. We can't play this. Well, he's not totally blocked. He could do this. Yeah. So this isn't a great progress. It's not optimal play, but he can draw 1 card from the discard pile. Draw would be the top card, or could steal a 10 or 20. This guy doesn't have a 10 or 20. So this is not going to be a great card. He's playing this to steal a 10 or 20. So he says, I'm playing it. No, he's playing it to draw. Sorry, he's playing it to draw a card from this card. This is the card he's going to draw and put in his hand. This is set aside. He has not discarded yet. Now, he just drew this card. Okay? Any card that you draw, stealing from the opponent, drawing from the discard pile, or from selecting from anywhere in the discard pile, you may play it immediately. Now, it's an aid card. He doesn't have a Cyclops or a Colossus number, but it has hindering winds. He's going to say, well, you messed up. You put a hazard on me. You got rid of my hazard. I am going to put hindering winds on you. That only allows you to play 10s or 20s. So he was able to do something back. All right. So it's this guy's turn here. He is at 4 cards. So he has to draw 2 cards. 1, 2. You always are drawing up to 6. He says, okay, I cannot play 30, 40, 50. I can only play 10s or 20s. I can't put a hazard on him. He already has one. I don't have a hazard on me to remove. So I can do something that can manipulate cards, or I can play a 10 or 20. So now right now, this gentleman here, this could be a lady, could be a hero or heroine, but it's me playing. So 70, 110. This guy's 80. So he is behind. So I'm going to go ahead and play catch up. I can play a 10 or a 20. So the hindering wind allows. So I'm going to play catch up. I'm at 100. That's behind 110. So this allows me, after playing this, to still play 1 more progress card. I'm going to play a 40. And this is an or select card from this card bar. So I'm playing it for the 40. I'm not doing this. So I went from my 80 points to 100 to 140. And now I'm done. So I have caught up. Catch up, not catch up, catch up. And it's this guy's turn. So he has his 5 cards. He gets to draw 1. We can go for a little bit longer here. So he still has a hazard. He cannot play any mileage cards. He can now steal a 10 or 20 because this guy has a 10 or 20. So he's got a hindering winds. or draw one card from enemy hand. That's what we're going to do. We're going to say, I'm going to steal one of your cards. You're messing me up. I'm going to steal a card from your hand. Oh, we had forgotten before to put this over here. So he's saying, I'm going to steal a card from your hand. So this guy says, okay, and he yanks one out of there. So this guy got this. he actually drew another one of these. This is rare. Now, that whole idea of you wait to put these here was to prevent the drawing an enemy card, getting a card to draw from the discard, drawing the same thing. This is a different draw from the enemy card. He's going to play it again. He's going to go, I'm going to steal another one of yours. So again, we put this here where he's not done with his turn. He draws another card, steals another card. All right, now this guy says enemy discards a 50. He does not have a, oh, he does. So he's going to play this and say, take that, you lose at 50. So we resolve this. This guy is now done. He's stolen 2 cards and made him lose a 50. He's finished. All these now go into the discard pile, and he's done with his turn. So bam, he made this guy lose a 50, and he stole 2 of his cards. So this guy's grumbling. All right, here, we got 2 more minutes. So he's had 2 cards. He has to drop, so he drops 4 new cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. What am I going to do to you? You're being mean to me. Now, this guy still does not have a hazard on him. And he has a hindering wind, so he's limited to 10s or 20s. He's got a couple of those. He could draw a card from the discard pile. He could play any 10s or 20s. He does have 10 or 20. Let's see. This guy's got 40, 80. He says still at 110. This guy's now down to 90. So he's behind. Now, however, if we played a catch-up, okay, so 110, he's exactly at 90. If we played the catch-up, they would become at 110 each. So this would not allow him to play another card, because this only works when you're behind. When you play this, and after, then now count the totals. If you're behind, you can play another one. So this would not help him go farther. Well, anyway, he can't. He's got a hazard. He wants to get rid of this. He needs a map or wax. He doesn't have it. Boy, he doesn't like the situation. He does not like this at all. So he really doesn't have anything to do. He's kind of stuck, except this is a weird case. He can play this card to cause a reshuffle. Now, it's a 40, and he cannot play a 40 because of this, but he can play it for this part to cause a reshuffle and ignore this, because it can't put this progress in place. So he's going to say, I'm going to play this to cause a reshuffle. Wow, this is this guy's hand here. Boy, yeah, this is his cards. So he's going to cause a reshuffle. All right, these get put into the deck. Here, we shuffle this up. Okay, I'm not going to spend a super time shuffling. Normally you'd ruffle. We're going to call that good. All right, so he's done with his turn playing, and then this will come here. Now it's this guy's turn. Okay, we're going to do like one more turn. But so right now he's at 90. He's at 110. Again, you're trying to get to 300. This guy's turn. He's not in how he gets to draw 1 card. All right, he's ahead, so catch-up wouldn't. Wait, no, he's at 90. He's at 110. He's behind. Wow. Okay. He has hindering wind on him. He doesn't have a hazard on him, but he does have a hindering wind. So what he's going to do, he's going to play this card that says remove hindering wind. So this gets removed to here, and the 10 gets to come into play. It's an and card. So boom, boom, boom. He's now at 100. He's done with his turn. We'll do one more play and then call it quits. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He drew 1. He still has this hazard. So this has been unfortunate. He has not been able to do something to get this. He's been able to do tit for tat. He's not that far behind. He's actually ahead. He's actually at 110. But it's been a little annoying here. He cannot play anything. There's not a hindering wind on there. So what he's going to do is he's going to play this card. This is another case where it's an and. He can't play the 50 for progress, but he can draw one card from the discard. So he said, I'm doing that. So he gets to draw a card from a discard. All right, it's Aid Spare, which helps against Cyclops or Colossus, not against this. So he's played that. He can't do anything more. This will be here. This will be in his hand. He'll be done. And we're going to call it quits there, okay? We may have had to end a little early. But this has been an example of the back and forth nature, both sides being able to play, make progress, put hazards against either, summon the aid to remove those, manipulate cards, steal them, make cards be discarded, get cards to be shuffled and draw from the deck. So both sides have been able to make progress this whole time, even though there's been some slowdown from the hazards, some hindering winds. This is the nature of Mythic Journey, the card game, trying to see the first that can get to 300 leagues of progress. The idea is to be your powerful hero or heroine, and rarely should you ever be stuck. You should never just sit there for turns and turns drawing cards or do something. There's always something going on in the game. That's our goal. That's our vision for this game. And so far, so good. We like I said, we're finishing here. This guy has a hazard on him, but he's at 110 progress. This guy's at 100 progress. He has no hazard or thing, so he's slightly ahead. But it's been back and forth. Take that, making progress, manipulating cards. So this has been Mythic Journey card game, and we'll open it up to any questions if there's still time. Thank you for watching this demo.